All right, Wolf, we are 2 preseason games in. We got one left on Sunday. The regular season in the NFL starts 2 weeks from today. The Cardinals' first game is 2 weeks from this upcoming Sunday. Obviously, every question with this team has not been answered yet. So what are the biggest ones you have? I got a couple.
Yeah, they are. There's a lot of questions right now. Will Kyler Murray throw the ball from the pocket and be as effective as he was last year? Will the Arizona Cardinals be able to run the ball? How much of a difference is Marvin Harrison Jr. really going to make in this offense right now? What about the defense? Are they going to be able to hold up in this secondary? Is their cornerback room strong enough? There's many questions going into this season. And this is what I'm really excited about the most. We're going to get some resolution soon.
Finally, right? Finally in the not too distant future. I tell you, the start of the season, there's legitimate excitement with this team. I think it's warranted. I do. They could be a much better team and start 0-3, though. And a lot of that excitement, if they start 0-3, a lot of that excitement's going to wane. It just is. Because then it's just talk that they're better, right? Or, they could be a lot better and lose a close game to Buffalo, and they always have a hard time with the Rams. And Detroit might go to the Super Bowl this year. They're not going to because they refuse to kick field goals in the playoffs. But in theory, Detroit's good enough to go to the Super Bowl. So the Cardinals could start 0-3.
Yes.
But you're right. We're going to start to get some clarity here in about 2.5 weeks.
It's not really how you play. It's what you do in the regular season, right? I mean, right now, it's how you play. Oh, this is great. Oh, boy, they played really, really well. Well, if their starters were in there, you're just projecting everything. And when you get to the regular season, you can play well and still lose games.
Even last year, I remember the loss to Washington. I remember thinking, like, okay, if they had Kyler Murray, they win that game. And I still feel that way. If they have Kyler Murray, they win that game. And Kyler Murray actually said that. I think that was to us. He said, like, yeah, there were a few games I feel like if I had played, we would have won. But last year, so you were still in that zone of like, yeah, but, if so-and-so was playing, or yeah, okay, but they're rebuilding. So there was room for moral victories last year. That's going to be a lot smaller of an area for moral victories this year.
That's exactly right. When you think about it, go back to the last season, ladies and gentlemen, the first half of that last season. Remember how encouraged so much of the Red Sea was in regard to how the Cardinals were playing.
The defense,
they were encouraged.
The defense early.
Just again, they were in games. Weren't they, Dallas? They were in games. And it was like, okay, Josh Dobbs is your starting quarterback there. And, a lot of these guys, newcomers, and yet they were competitive. They were fighting hard. They were playing hard. It mattered how they played. This year, it's not going to matter how they play. It's what they do, meaning win games or not.
Which is honestly refreshing because it has... It's been a long time since the last time. No.
You see, you're in Luke's head.
You got it based on what I was thinking.
Stained is totally in Luke's head. Right?
Well,
no, honestly, we're in your head because of the broadcast when you said ironic and then you laughed and you're like, wait, no, weird.
I know. Yeah, that was
Talk about
right
being
there.
in someone's head.
That's true.
It's true. Yeah. That was bad.
There's no denying it.
Yes.
It has been a while since the Cardinals have played a truly meaningful game, right? I mean, last season, you just said it. The whole first part of the season was like, yeah, okay, but Josh Dobbs is the quarterback. Oh, okay, yeah, they weren't supposed to win this year.
Sure.
And then the second half, there were legitimate things to look at, but they were already out of it playoff-wise.
Yes.
And even the season before, the second chunk of the season, they were out of it and Kyler was hurt. So at best, for the last year and a half of Cardinals football, it's been, okay, but like, let's evaluate this or see this. Starting week 1 of this season, it's like, did they win or lose?
Yeah.
Finally,
right.
That's what matters.
Right. And once again, this preseason, we have not seen the starters, not even the top, 2 in some positions. We have not seen the top 25 players, for the most part, play. Haven't seen him. So, Luke, I'll ask you this. What is the biggest question mark you have going into the first week of the season since you haven't seen any of these guys actually play?
It's still, I mean, there are questions like, okay, what are Kyler and Marvin Harrison Jr., like, what's their timing going to be like, and to start the game? To me, though, I feel like they're going to be good at a certain point. My two biggest questions right now are, do they have the corners to win in this league, and specifically in this division? But, I mean, the first three opponents, you're facing Josh Allen, Matthew Stafford, and Jared Goff, but with that offense, right? So do you have enough in the in the secondary, but not the safety, so specifically the corners? And this is a real question for me too. Are they going to pay for it in the first half of the game against Buffalo that none of the starters have played yet in the preseason? Like, is their timing going to be off a little bit while Buffalo's just building a lead? Those are my two questions for week one. And the first question with the corners is a question for the whole season.
Yeah, it's been my experience, once again, that for the most part, most of these players that have played the NFL for a long time, they really don't need a lot of preseason work. I needed preseason work myself specifically. It's been my experience, though, that a lot of these guys who are starters, they know how to play the game for the most part. I don't think there's a correlation there as to playing your starters in preseason and not. I don't think there is, Basinonians. And the reason why I say that is because if there was, don't you think every coach would be doing it?
Yeah.
Every coach would be doing it, bar none, if there was a correlation. And they have studied that over decades.
I guess specifically my concern is just, are we going to see like too many penalties or like pre-snap penalties? Now, JG, that really hasn't been an issue. But a couple years ago, the pre-snap penalties were just... They killed this team.
Yeah.
For like a year, like 2 years of pre-snap penalties.
For me, let me just say what my biggest question mark is for this team, because we haven't seen anybody play. It's the defense, and specifically the rush defense of the Arizona Cardinals. How much better will they be up front? Justin Jones, Bilal Nichols, L.J. Collier, Darius Robinson, Dante Stills, Roy Lopez. How much better are they going to be? What will we see, Luke? That, to me, is critical. Third and obvious pass situations are my next concern, but that also is tied to rundown situation. It is. I mean, if you can't stop the opposing team from running the ball, it sets off a chain reaction, a negative chain reaction that is really, really bad. I don't have time to go into that chain reaction now, but I will the next time we talk about this. Trust me on this. If you can't stop the run, it's a bad thing. And it puts your offense, believe it or not your defense, not just your defense, your offense in a very difficult position more times than not.
Thanks for watching Wolf and Luke. Tap to see more and click the button in the middle to subscribe to Arizona Sports.